Okay, hi YouTube. Today I'm going to try to show you how to make this beautiful Ostara egg candle. Let me see if I'm showing that to you. There you go. With all those layers and colors and glitter. And I'll show you how to make that today. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is some wax. Now, if you want to use wax that you have lying around, or to get a good supply of wax that you can make candles out of in a pinch, I use votive candles, these little white votive candles. I just buy an entire bag full of them, and then I've got them for everything. And you can color them and make your own spell candles and molds in any shapes that you would like. Okay, so first thing you're going to need is your wax, and I've got some lined up here. You're going to need one of these Easter egg shells. Okay. You're going to need an egg carton, and I've cut this out into four. The four of them, I've cut those out because that balances a little bit easier. You can balance that. And you're going to need your glue gun. Okay. And you're also going to need some pliers. And I like these ones. These ones are the round tip, and they work really well for what we're going to be using them for. You'll probably need a knife or some kind of utensil to cut your wax, you know, and other things as well. Maybe a pair of scissors, that would be handy. And you're going to need some source for a wick. If you don't want to buy your own, you can salvage one from a candle that you have lying around at home, or that you can, you know, pick up inexpensively. I get these for $1 at my corner Magic shop. And you just take those and cut the wax off of them, and then you can take the wick out. It's very simple. You lay it on a flat surface and then just chip away at the wax gently, keeping in mind that there's a wick in the center of it because you don't want to cut that wick. And then you can just clean the wax right off of it, and you'll have a wick to use. Okay? Now with these votives, to get your wax out, you can pretty much just pull it by the top and it comes right out. Now if they don't, you can take a spoon or this knife, you know, or whatever utensil you want to use, and just cut out little pieces, you know, until it comes all out. Once you have them, you want to break that wax apart. Oh, and you'll need a jar for melting, some sort of utensil that you're going to be placing in your microwave or in a steaming pot of water. If you do the steaming pot of water, you want to make sure that it's only, you know, that it's only covered about halfway, or a little over. You don't want to overfill it because the steam, you don't want the water inside. And you can melt it that way as well on your stovetop at a low heat. Okay, it's very important, at a very low heat, like a medium low. Okay, and then you just go ahead and take your wax. Where can you see this at? And break it apart. Make sure and remove the metal piece, especially since we're going to be putting this in the microwave. Remove that little metal piece and just put your wax in there. You want to do one at a time. I would say 1.5 is what you're going to need for each layer. Okay, so 1.5 of these. There we go. You want to break them up into even pieces so they melt evenly. You put it in the microwave, you let it go for a minute, 30 seconds, and then you stir it, 30 more seconds, and stir it, and continue so on. After it's melted, that's when you add your color and any fragrance oils that you might be using. Okay, and we do that layer at a time, color by color. Okay, so that's when we do the wax. Let me show you this. We have to get the egg first. I forgot to show you that. Okay, so take your egg and your knife or a box cutter, whatever you're going to use, and kind of score a little bit here on top on each side evenly. So you've got something as a marker. Can you see that? Okay. And then you just, now I have to do it away from you, but here we go. Do that all the way around. There we go. Okay. And you can use your scissors or whatever other tools to finally get that last little bit off if it gives you trouble like it's giving me right now. There we go. Okay. And there we go. So it'll have, maybe yours will come out more even, but it's still kind of even. It doesn't really matter as long as you can lay a stick across the top. I use chopsticks because you can put the wick right in the center and then tape that to it, or just a basic stick, whatever you want to use to lay across the top, and then tape it or glue it down. Okay. And usually these little eggs have a hole already on one side. Now, you'll take your glue gun and put some dollops of glue all on the inside of here to kind of help hold that egg in place. Once it's dry, you can set that egg in there and it's nicely balanced. Okay. You do want to go ahead and poke a hole. So you'll have a stick about the same size as the wick that you're going to be using. I keep doing that too high, I'm sorry. And you'll poke a hole like that, like so, for your wick to go through all the way through. And what I did last time was, here's the wick that I used. I'll show you. On this one, I went ahead and used just a glue gun instead of using, it's what I had handy, okay? So I used a glue gun and I just glued the wick on there, which is fine because we're going to remove the wick at the end and then just place it in again after we put the bottom on it. But it allows it to have the hole in there, okay? Oh no, did I just lose my wick? No! I'll have to make a new one. Let me see. Oh, it's still in here. Okay. Alrighty, so put your wick in. There we go. And kind of glue it to the side first. Just a little dollop. There we go. Whoops. It's okay. Because of the shape of it, this being having a lip on it, it really does hold and it does just fine. It doesn't leak out of the sides. Okay. But you do have to seal this. So you do have to seal that all the way with your glue gun, unless you have that sticky stuff that is used for candle making, which I don't have. So this is what I'm using. Just put your glue gun on there. Boop. Nice little dollop. Let that dry a second. And then you can put a little bit more just to make sure that it's nice and coated on there, so none of the wax pours out. And you want it to be even. You don't want, I guess you don't need a hole in the bottom if I'm doing it this way. There we go. I think originally I put it there because I thought I would need it. You want to make sure that it's flat on the top, because when this goes down, you don't want it rocking unevenly, okay? Okay, and we'll just let that dry a second. Now, for coloring your wax, after each time that you remove your jar of wax and it's ready to be poured in there, that's when you're going to go ahead and add your color and your fragrance oil. And the ways that you can color it are these little diamond chips. You can use these, or you can use crayons if you'd like to use crayons. You should have those lying around the house, very inexpensive to use. Or you can use a mica powder, and that colors candles really well too. Micas are what are in your eyeshadows, so if you have an eyeshadow color you want to use, blush, eyeshadow, any kind of powder, you can definitely use that. Okay. So next step, let's see if that's dry enough. Not yet. Okay. While that's drying, we will go ahead and just go put the wax in the microwave. Oops, sorry about that. You want to make sure and save one of these little metal pieces, clean it off really well, and get that wick out of there. That's what I use these little round pliers for. It's just to push that wick out and to open it back up since it's been used, because they are crimped around the wick. So that kind of uncrimps it. You can use any kind of miniature eyeglass repair screwdriver or any kind of pin that's extremely sturdy that you have that will do that. And there you go, see? Until it's no longer crimped. And then your wick will fit in there. At the very end we'll crimp it and then feed the wick through the candle. So put that aside and save that for the end. Okay, you definitely want to use paper towels or some kind of heat glove when doing this. And like I said, you can just stir this and the wax melts. Okay. Now the first color we're going to have is yellow, and this is all you need on those little diamond tips, is a size about like this for each of these layers, just a little tip of it. Put that in. Oops, sorry again. And it'll still be like a clear color. It's not till it hardens and cools that it becomes opaque. Oh, the first layer was going to be white. Well, I guess on this candle, the first layer is going to be yellow, since that's what we've done. I'll let that sit and try to melt. Now, am I going to use this? This might be too long and heavy for this little candle. That is actually, so let me find something really quick. Here we go. I got this little tie, little bread tie, and I'm going to glue the bread tie to each side into the center. Oops, it's moving on me. Oh, come on. Do have to hold it there a minute. Oh, I guess I could tape it and that glue will dry as well. Okay, I do have Scotch tape. Now, what I was able to do well, actually I ran out of film, so I had to, so I had to upload it really quick. And here we go. Here's the finished product. What I've done to secure this wick in here and make sure that it is centered. See how it's centered pretty much right in the middle? There we go. See? And you do want it in the center all the way down, because if the wick's off to the side, then the candle doesn't burn evenly. So what I did is, you saw me glue these sides down and glue this down, and you know, I was juggling how to hold it. So I went ahead and taped the bread wire on there, and that helps secure it all together. Okay, so tape came in handy. So we needed tape, we needed the glue gun, we needed this bread wire. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, and now you just set it in there, kind of like twist it so it's secure. Now that is pretty secure. Okay. And you want it on a flat surface. There we go. Okay, and this yellow is, I had to melt it again, but maybe you can see on this stick the color of yellow that it's going to be. You can see that. If you just dip your stick in there, a spoon, something like that, and let the wax dry, you can see if it's the consistency or the depth of color that you're looking for. Okay, so that's how to test it before you pour it in, and then your candle's finished before you realize, oh wait, that's not what I wanted. And then you just pour it in. Up to the level that you think is good. I think that's good. I can leave a little bit in here. Since my next color is green, we're going into the rainbow. We're going from lighter to darker. Yellow and blue, of course, make green, so we'll put green next, and then we'll add blue. And blue and red make purple, so we'll put the secondary color between the two. And that's just how we're going to do it, like that, okay? So now I can put my other pieces of wax in here. That's one. Right, and we're going to do 1.5 per each. So let's go ahead and do that. And set it right back in the microwave. This is my green color. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to stop the camera. I have to wait for this to cool before I can pour the next layer on. It does have to cool completely in between each layer. Okay? So we'll be back in just a little bit. Okay, I'm back. And the yellow layer has dried and cooled. So, let's see. I do need to heat that up a little bit more. We're going to add the green layer now. So let me just heat that for a second. Alrighty. It's gotta be, I mean, it will cool down, like if you wait and let it, but you want it to be hot enough to melt these little wax chips or the crayon or whatever color, what you're using for coloring, because if you don't, then it won't melt. You have to keep throwing it back in the microwave. So let's see. Let's make sure we got this at the right green. Now the yellow triangles, these little these little triangles, the yellow is you have to use more of the yellow, the lighter colors, than you do the darker colors. The darker colors, you just need the little tip. I think for the lighter ones like yellow or light green or any of the lighter colors, you probably want to use 2 of those little tips for the amount that we're using, okay? For like 1.5. And I call these votives, but they aren't. They're tea lights. 1.5 tea lights, okay? Here we go. That's a nice green. That should dry really nice. Okay, and if you notice I'm not putting any fragrance oils in these, you can take them, just go ahead and add your Ostara to each layer, or you can just dress it at the end if you want to on the day of, or the day that you're using it. Okay, and just go ahead and pour it in. Now, since we're going to blue, you're going to have to wipe out your jar or rinse out your jar, get the yellow and green out of there because you don't want this to be a muted blue. You want this to be a primary. Red, yellow, and blue are your primaries. So when you're down to your primary colors, you definitely want the jar to be cleaned out so your primary color comes out vibrant and not muted, okay? So, and you can just wipe it in between, as long as the wax is still cool, liquid in there. Alrighty. One and a half. Actually, I'm just gonna do 1. Yeah, because I think we're not. We'll just do 1 because these layers need to be thinner now. Okay. I've got blue, purple, red. I don't know if I can make it all 3 colors at this point. I may have made the yellow too much. So maybe just 1 tea light per color would be good. I'm going to pause this and come right back. Well, maybe I can't find the pause button with my hands the way they are. We'll just do what we can. And it's got to dry in between anyway. Okay, so I'll be right back. Go ahead and finish the candle. Instead of pausing, stopping, and starting, you already knew the technique and how to do each layer after watching me a couple of times. So I went ahead and just finished each of the colors. Any of the layers where I had extra wax, I went ahead and made some votives. There we go. So I got some nice red, like a pinkish red, and some purples left over. So yay, I got some extra candles to play with later. But for this one, how do you take it apart? Make sure I can see that. How do we take it apart and get our candle out of there? I've already taken the glue off the bottom. In doing that, I cut the wick completely off, but that's going to be fine, and I'll show you why later. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this tape. That off of there. And remove that thread wire. And if I can pop up that glue without cutting the wick. There we go. Now, when you're trying to get the candle out, you have to let air separate in between the candle and the mold. And the way to do that is just to squeeze it until you see it becoming lighter. And I don't know how to show you that on the candle, on the camera, but I think that's pretty much it right there. So let's try to open it, see what's going to happen. There we go. All right. And it should just pop out. Maybe that glue is still on that end. I'm just going to squeeze it. There we go. I just had to squeeze it a little bit until it's separated, and there we go. We were able to get, smooth that out so you can see what we did. Okay, I was able to get a small layer of purple in there, not much of one. So we've got a huge layer of yellow. I used way too much for the yellow. Then I used the green, and then so we did about 1 candle or half a candle for these bottom ones. So I would say 1 tea light, maybe for the very first color, 1 1/4 tea lights, okay? And then the rest of them just use 1 tea light, and that should work out just fine. But either way, you still got the candles, you still got the colors, and the red at the bottom for success, and the yellow for success as well, and then all your other color magics in between for springtime. Now here's what you're going to do. You're going to pull the wick out, if you can get it out. Depends on how much it's solidified. Where's my tweezers? There we go. Just go ahead and pull it right out. Okay, you're going to be putting it right back in. But you're going to take this stick, stick about the width of the wick, push it all the way through. Make sure there's enough room by twisting that. Okay, and now I'm going to get a fresh wick, or am I going to try to reuse that one? I'm going to get a fresh wick. Remember how we do that. I do have green over there, so no, I'm going to use pink. We just go ahead . That wax off little by little. There we go. There we are. Okay. And now, get my hands kind of clean here for the next phase. We are putting this wick straight through the T-pin. Okay. Pinching that together so that it's nice and tight. It's not going to move. flatten it out, make sure it's even. As flat as you can get it. You know, when you're reusing these, they don't always come out totally flat afterwards. Okay. And where's my scissors? Let's see if I can use these. There we go. And I'm going to thread this part back through the candle. Okay. Well, first, you might want to flatten out the bottom. The way that you do that is just running it on a flat surface. There you go, to try to smooth the bottom out and make it even. Now thread it through there. Okay, where's that stick? There we go. And there it is. Push that into place. Anyway, there you go. And then you trim your wick to a comfortable level that you like it, usually about 1/4 of an inch, so about right there. And you have an Ostara egg for Easter, and you can just go ahead and, you know, sprinkle it with whatever glitter you want to, anoint it with your oils, and you are set. Thank you. Blessed be.